All right. Good morning, everybody. It's
Morning.
Sunday. What day is it? Sunday, June
Something.
5th. So we don't have the Aviators Cascades result in because we're busy boys, so we had to record early. But we're gonna do some tier talk and get everything sorted out. And then we can decide what will happen with that last game later and post the final thing later. But for now, we have plenty to discuss. So, how was everyone's weekend? Slash, how'd you enjoy the games?
Yeah, my weekend was great. I got to attend the Summit game again last night against the Spiders. The Summit took an early lead, and then I was like, this game's kind of interesting. You know what else would be interesting? Watching the Aviators game. So I went to the upper deck, and I had the Aviators game on my phone, and the Summit game live in front of me. So it's pretty chill. It's pretty chill. Got to see
Oh
Everett
yeah.
Shapiro really, really put on a show.
Mhm.
Like the most imaginable, fantastic night I could ever conceive of.
I know, right?
Elu, you're doing some scouting, right? Some international scouting.
Yeah, I'm doing some international scouting. I flew to Peru yesterday. I'm out here to just evaluate some AUDL talent. No, I'm just kidding. I'm on vacation, but I'm speaking really quietly because my girlfriend is asleep and we're in a very tiny Airbnb. So this is going to be a quiet ALU pod. So everyone's probably happy, but
yeah. What about you, Sam and Joe?
I am not in Peru, but I did have a pretty chill weekend so far. Got to watch a little bit of frisbee. I watched the Aviators game against the Nitro yesterday, and well, that was very entertaining. Also, I feel very vindicated in my Rookie of the Year pick as well.
We're gonna look so good at the end of the year.
We're really smart. We're so smart.
Shapiro on the up and up.
Yeah. What you got for us, Sam?
Let's see. This weekend I didn't get into too much. This weekend my little brothers are in town. That's why we're recording so early, because I'm gonna have to watch them. But I watched
Boss Man Sam.
Yeah, I watched a handful of games. I'm ready to talk tiers, and I think we should just get right into it. I have a tier take that I wanted to begin with because I think it will kind of frame the rest of the discussion. I think I brought this up jokingly last week, but I want to seriously bring it up this week. I think we need to make another tier at the top for just the New York Empire. They held Toronto, so I have to figure out which of these tabs is that game. They held Toronto to 8 points.
1 point in the second and third quarter.
8 points in the entire game. Yeah, like
Damn.
What the fuck? They had 2 break opportunities. Like we just watched the Breeze give up like 26 to the Rush, and we were like, well, that's fair. The Rush have a really good offense, and then this happens.
Yeah.
So, I think New York should be in their very own tier at the top. By
that is a bold take, and I have nothing to like debate you on.
How can you?
I have one.
Has anybody else showed us that says they're as good as New York?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, until like maybe we see Raleigh go up against them.
They just lost.
Raleigh just lost to the Cannons?
No, they lost to the Soul.
Oh, I was gonna say, okay, so I didn't even check.
That was a good game.
And yeah, Carolina.
I missed that.
Carolina is no longer undefeated. They lost to Austin Soul. They're a good
That's
team.
huge.
But so the only thing to say about the Empire is have they played like an A tier team yet?
They played
the Breeze.
Yeah.
That's a good team.
They beat the Breeze 22-19, and then they beat Phoenix 17-15, and then they beat Boston 23-19. And then they beat Toronto 31-17. They beat Montreal 22-18. They beat Ottawa 30-18, and then Toronto again 25-8.
Okay. Joe brings up an interesting point. So I think there's no debating that Empire is the number 1 team in the league. But they have a lot of close games, just like, other top teams too. So God, this was a beatdown now.
I mean, I don't know, 3 or 4 points. It's like it's kind of close, but it's really not that close of a game. Like that would be like you need a whole nother quarter to come back from that.
It's true.
And I mean, I don't know. It's just like there's teams that I would put up with the Flyers in the Summit, but there's not teams I would put up there if the Empire are also in that group, because I don't think anyone really compares to them. Like I would say, I don't know. There's an argument for the Flyers to stay up there, even though they lost. But I think that argument becomes easier to make if the Empire are in their own tier, which I think they should be.
Yeah. I mean, really, the only argument I have is that, we've already got 5 tiers, and like we've kind of, Andrew kind of brought this up when we were doing the tiers originally, like Empires in the S tier, but they're like they're the top of the S tier, the S tier is hard to make. Like to have 2 tiers where both tiers like combined have like 3-4 teams, not a lot. But again, I
So
don't
wait,
know.
are we suggesting that there's like an S plus with Empire and then an S with Summit and then like an A with Carolina? Is that the
No,
solution?
we're suggesting that there is a Empire tier and then an S tier that currently has Carolina, Summit, and then whatever else we
And
discussed.
possibly more teams. Because I just think there are teams
Carolina
that
can't
should
stay
maybe there are teams that should maybe be over A, but like shouldn't be as high as the Empire is my main.
Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of agree with you. I mean, Carolina went 1-1 this weekend, but they beat Dallas, who's not very good, and then they lost to the Soul by 1 point. It was 21-20.
I think you lose to the Soul. I think what that tells me is that you bring Carolina to A and you bring Soul to A. I mean, that's what that says to me. The gap has been bridged.
Well, I was already advocating for the Soul being good. I had them winning this game because the other game, Carolina, was so tight.
Yeah, they shouldn't
like
have
the
been.
Soul's going to have an edge here.
I'm gonna make the Empire tier. So
I think B was fair. Yeah, Empire tier. We all agree.
I don't agree, but I subside.
You agree?
That's a word.
Oh, whoops.
Can we make it like dark red and call it Empire and like have it kind of look like Star Wars?
Yeah, I was gonna do green because their color is green, but S is already dark red. What about pink?
What if we make it like hot pink? Yeah. Okay.
Why doesn't
all right, now we all agree? Oh yeah.
There we go.
Let's go.
Nice.
Okay, this looks better already.
Oh yeah, it just makes more sense.
So then let's go into what we were just talking about, which is the Flyers. Andrew, you were saying they should be bumped down to A.
I think so.
I think they should stay, honestly.
Yeah, I think they should stay too.
I think
No, go Andrew.
I was gonna say, I think as long as there's still undefeated teams, I don't know how I feel about having a team with a loss in the S tier.
So just to counteract that, I don't think records or everything. I think it should mostly be kind of like who we think the best teams are. And even though Seoul beat the Flyers by 1 point in a really close game, I don't think that takes the Flyers out of S tier. I mean, that was the Flyers on the road too, even though we talked about road, home, whatever.
They're missing a lot of dudes, I think.
They're missing a lot of dudes.
Yeah.
I think if anything, we talk about maybe where Austin's at on the tier list.
Okay.
You can also look at
I think Austin is now an A team. I think that's the take from that.
I think we all agree with that. Does anyone disagree with Austin A?
No, I think that's fair. But
come on the pod. Let us know why you should be S tier if you're listening.
Yeah, for real. I mean, if you look at this, Carolina was 3 for 6 on D-line conversion, and Austin was 4 for 6, and that's the whole game. I don't know if 1 break chance less necessarily means that they deserve to be dropped in the tier, especially
Both
Austin was
teams.
14 for 14 in the red zone. That's kind of crazy.
Hold on, 10 turnovers and 9 turnovers is
I
not a
know.
lot of turnovers. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Their O-line was just really holding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do Austin.
71% for both of them.
Okay.
Believe him,
Very
Sam.
easy.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
Easy A for Austin. So yeah,
Easy.
here's my thinking with Carolina still being above. Like this division, the South Division, is really just Carolina, the Soul, and the Hustle, and then 2 Dookie teams. So, and I'm comfortable saying that I think Carolina wins that division. So I'm still comfortable with 2 A's and an S being in that order.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I can live with that.
I have a take, but I think we said we wouldn't do this. I don't think the Radicals are an A-tier team, but they did beat Pittsburgh by 1.
Oh yeah. I wanted to.
So
do we move them to B?
I feel like they've for the past couple weeks shown that they're a good team, but not a great team. And I just don't feel like they're good enough for the A, but I don't want to punish them for, I don't know, beating Pittsburgh by 1 is kind of losing.
I do want to punish them because I watched the end of that game and Pittsburgh just gave that shit away. Like the Radicals had this one double team to force a turn, and so they earned that one. But then they got, I think the last point of the game, Pittsburgh was just trying to run out the clock and then score the winning goal or something, and they were just fucking around with it, and then they just turned it over, and then I think the Radicals gave it back, and then Pittsburgh turned it over right away again. So
yeah, the Radicals are a B tier team for me.
Yeah, I think it's time we look at this A tier. It is too crowded. There's not this many A tier teams. Let's clean house. Rascals go B.
We're getting tough with it.
Did the Growlers play yet this weekend?
No, they didn't play this week.
Oh my God, they just haven't played, so we can't move them. But I don't want to leave them in A, honestly.
Shred. Do we move Shred up because we wanted to last week and we were waiting for the win?
They beat the Spiders.
They beat the Spiders,
but it was 30-21.
Oh
yeah.
I don't know. Okay. I think they stay A.
No. I'm gonna say S based on this one thing. Last week we talked about how can you promote a team for losing because they lost to the Summit. They just beat the Spiders 30-21. They played the Summit in a super close game. To be honest, I think both teams are S tier. Both the Summit and the Shred kind of blew out the Spiders. I was at the game last night. Am I shaving?
Yeah. What's in your hand?
This is just my hammer. I just like to hold it. I've had this since I was a child. I just a small metal hammer.
Okay.
I don't really use it to hammer things. I just like to hold it. But back to my monologue. I think the Shred and the Summit are kind of on the same tier, and we're looking at this S tier. I think we need to add at least a team or two, and I think the Shred have earned a spot. They didn't have a tough opponent, but they beat down the Spiders just like the Summit did. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point.
They're loaded.
They're so good.
We wanted to put the Shred in the S tier.
We did.
After they lost.
Would it be possible to move the Summit ahead of Carolina in that order and then put Salt Lake third, even though our ordering doesn't matter? I just feel like that would be respectful.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're listening to the pod, the ordering kind of matters.
It kind of matters.
Yeah, well, now the S tier is ordered for me.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to bring up Chicago because they're now 3-0. They let me see.
Beat the Mechanics by more than the Hustle beat the Cannons.
That's true.
Oh, Joe, you're looking like a genius. I feel like a fool.
I'm gonna find it.
Man, I love when my spicy takes just turn out to be true.
My Cannons take wasn't looking good on Saturday, but oh well.
Yeah, so Chicago, I'm just gonna go to their schedule.
Yeah, I want to see if they've had any good opponents.
They beat the Wind Chill, and then they had two easy games.
A tier team.
That's a pretty comfortable win. So
Wind Chill's A tier.
A tier. We all saw that because not gonna lie, we're all looking at the wind chill and like I think they cemented themselves as an A tier team.
Yeah.
Speaking
Also-
of the win, go ahead, Joe.
I was just gonna say Chicago had 18 turnovers and Detroit had 28.
Wow, maybe it was
That is
windy.
a heavy turnover game.
But compare that to the Carolina game where it was 10-9. That's insane. Some of these games
know.
can just like go totally different.
It looks like a lot of those were D-line turnovers, though,
Mm.
for
that's a good
Chicago at
point.
least.
Mhm.
16 out of 28, 11 out of 18. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so on the topic of moving Chicago up to A tier, which I agree with.
Oh, you going to the elephant in the room?
The elephant in the room, the Alley Cats got donked by
Yeah.
Minnesota.
I just want to
Donked.
bring up with the Alley Cats, I know this tier is called Empire, but there could be room for a second team if we think they're that good.
You know what? Fuck it. No, just kidding.
Give
Alley
the people
Cats-
what they don't want. Come on.
All right,
I know we're an Alley Cats pod, but they can't remain in the A tier after
Hey,
that.
but they were missing some great players. Maybe that explains all of it. And
Maybe.
if they had them all there, they'd be in the Empire tier.
I mean, just like Sam, like I don't know if we could move a team up if they lose, but they were missing some players. The S tier is looking open.
Keegan North.
The
Okay,
S tier is open.
I was so I watched the beginning of this game when it was like 8-7, like it was a good game. And then I turned it off. I had to go do something. And then I checked the score after and it was 28-13. So I don't know what happened. But
I got a couple stats I'd like to point out here.
yeah, let me find it. There it is.
Let's look at both D-line and O-line
Wow.
conversion percentages. I mean,
Wow.
1 for 7 or 1 for 15 on breaks, but I mean, 36% on O-line conversion is honestly like maybe a worse stat than 1 for 7 on D-line conversions. That's just horrible, and it doesn't help. It doesn't help us talk about this team because this was an away game for them. So I don't even know what to think anymore.
I
I'm
think
lost.
the worst stat is the turnover ratio.
Yeah.
27-12 blocks. They only had 6
Yeah.
blocks. 18 6
blocks. Wow. That's Windchill's
Like-
game, though. I feel like
we
is-
were-
sloppy.
We were
yeah.
talking about how like the Carolina Soul game had 10 blocks or 10 turnovers, 9 turnovers. Then we talked about I forget which game it was, but it was like 20 something and 20 something. It's like I'm looking at 2 different games. Like one team was like, yeah, we got 18 blocks, 27 turnovers, and you're like, oh, was it kind of evenly matched? No, not at all.
So the question is, how far down are we moving the Alley Cats?
Let's be merciful.
I think it's a given that they fly by B on their way down.
You think so?
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
don't think
We had inflated their position based on like a win over the Radical or a close loss against the Radicals, and then 2 wins against like the Mechanics. I think
So
it's
here's what I'm
correct it.
thinking.
Wow.
Here's what I'm thinking. I don't like being wrong. So I say we move them to the S tier.
Okay.
I don't want that guy to be right on Twitter.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So that's where I have them. I have them in the S tier.
All right, I have them in the F tier. So what if we like even that out
In the
and like
F
call
tier?
it
Oh.
C tier?
I have them
Call
in
it the
C.
C tier. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
You good with C?
That
Haley?
feels
I mean,
It
Like,
was
we're an
like
alley-
not my alley cat.
I'm an Alley Cats guy, but looking at the B tier teams, I don't know.
no.
But I don't want to overreact too much to like a booty loss, you know. But it's fine.
Really
It's
booty
C-
though.
it's-
It was
but
really
play
booty.
yourselves out of this. They can play themselves out. They can.
Definitely.
And they just like really did not beat Detroit or Pittsburgh by that much in their last 2 games before this.
Mhm.
Yeah, play yourself out of the C tier, Alley Cats. Beat someone that's
Yeah.
actually like all
They've
of our
got-
A and B or T teams have beat good teams. Like Phoenix, like they just had a good game. Like Alley Cats, they don't have a good win yet. So play yourself out of the C
listen-
tier. We ranked you high too early.
Listen to their upcoming schedule. They've got Detroit again, but then they've got Union,
Mhm.
and then they've got a little slowdown with Pittsburgh, but then they've got Union again. Then they've got Madison. Then they've got the wind chill. Then they've got the hustle.
Oof. That'll be a test.
Pull
That's
yourselves
tough.
out, Alley Cats. Pull yourselves out.
All right.
Shall we move on?
Yeah, so I think the only team we haven't talked about in these top three is the wind chill. I guess we didn't talk about the breeze either. I don't think they need to move.
I feel like they stay.
Mhm.
I think
They look good, but I don't think they showed to be an S tier team.
Yeah,
yeah.
they are so good. They don't get blocks, and that's definitely what's keeping them out of S. And I don't know if they're gonna start showing that or what.
Also, I don't know if they can be moved to S after beating like a B tier team, which is what we expect. And
Yeah.
by about a score we would expect. Like I think that's an A tier team playing against a B tier team, and we don't need to like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
A tier is very respectable. Like we've got, I mean, some of our B team tiers, like honestly, like the Royal, the Phoenix, like those are good teams. Like
Yeah,
I think being A tier is like not too shabby at all. And like if you just like give it a couple weeks, play some good opponents, you can move yourself up to S tier.
for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah. I agree.
Should we move on to reevaluating any B tier teams? Do we like all those teams in the B tier?
I just
Mm-hmm.
I just want to give like 10 seconds to the Hustle Cannons game and that's it. Like nothing more goes
Okay.
to the Cannons because like they don't deserve it yet. The Cannons did put up a good fight. I think the Hustle really showed why they're the A2 team. It was like, whoa, we're getting punched in the throat. All right, let's punch back. Let's crawl back and let's just win this game. I don't think that really changes tiers at all. But you know, shout out to the Cannons just a little bit. You know, you put up a good game against a good team, but you end up losing. So
And then I don't think we talked directly about the wind chill.
Oh
But-
yeah, we should just give them some props.
Yeah, I think they're still A because they have that loss to Chicago, so we can't really move them past Chicago, but they deserve props.
They've
They had a
looked-
fantastic game.
They've
Yeah.
looked nice. They've
was
looked
beat
nice
down.
a couple weeks in a row. Holding the Rascals to 16. That's pretty impressive.
who didn't look nice? Whoever on our pod picked the Alley Cats to win over the Wind Chill this week.
I want to say that was the
Wasn't
only
me.
game I got wrong. That was the only game that I got wrong.
Do we
Last
throw
week-
stats out the window now? Like, is that what
Joe,
we
that's
do?
like Joe, that's
Yeah.
like saying you go to school and you got A's in all your tests, but then you got an F on one. You're like, that's the only one I didn't get an A.
All
on."
right. No, that's like saying I got A's in all of my classes except for one class. So I still ended up with like a 3.8 GPA.
No, because that one class was an
Also,
F 'cause
Ryan,
they
you
got
called a
stopped up.
1-point game and it was a 13-point game, so you look just as dumb as the rest of us.
I feel like the wins are weighted
I
way
believe
more.
who here picked the Soul? Who here picked the Soul to beat Carolina besides me?
I don't think I did.
All right.
Nobody
That's
did.
what I that's all I've got to say.
We'll check
All
the
right.
tape. We'll check the tape.
Anyway, so let's go to B. We have the Nitro, who lost a close one to the Aviators.
I think they stay.
I
They
agree.
they almost beat the Summit in, granted, a very sloppy, rainy game, which seems to be every single one of their home games. But they looked so bad
Portland?
against Seattle. But we didn't move. They did look really bad against Seattle.
We
But
moved them to B after the Seattle loss because they were A, I think.
yeah, let's keep them B. It's fine. Maybe further back in the B tier. I still
Yeah,
think they're
so
B.
good.
They,
Yeah,
Radicals we
think-
just
I think
moved
that's
to
fair.
B. We like
Yes.
that. Boston's B. I think we touched on it with the Breeze, but it just, Breeze outplayed them. They were missing like Ben
Mhm.
Sadok. They were missing like
No,
some
they
very
had
good-
him, but they were missing
they
like
did.
yeah, they were missing like four of their O-line guys. But I mean,
Yeah.
losing two pretty close road games on a double road trip weekend, like that's We don't
Yeah,
need to
it's
punish
tough,
that.
but yeah.
The only thing is
Royal-
they're now like 2-5, I think. So that's kind of ugly.
It's kind of ugly. I don't know.
I don't know. I think
They're 2-5. Phoenix is 3-3 now after just beating the Glory also. But no, I know that's a tough weekend for Boston.
Mhm. I need
Let's
some more
leave them
coffee.
be now. Let's leave them be now. I don't know. Does anyone 2-5 is rough, but
5 is not great. But at the same time, like, I mean,
They've had-
we haven't moved around anybody from the C tier yet. But if you move them down, they're with 1-4 Ottawa,
yeah,
1-5 Seattle. The Thunderbirds are down there.
Ottawa's
still-
one win. Ottawa's one win
Yeah.
was against Boston.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if that.
I think Boston C. I think Boston has to be C. They're 2-5, and I'm staring at a C tier team whose only win is against Boston.
2-5. I feel like it's just.
They've done
not-
two
it's
road
not
trip
good enough.
doubleheaders.
It's not good enough. Who did they
It's
beat? They
not.
beat the Phoenix by 1, and then they lost to the Outlaws, and then they lost to the Royal, and then they lost to the Empire, and then they beat Toronto, who only put up 8 points, but then they lost to the Breeze, and they lost to Philly again. They lost to Philly twice. No, they lost to Philly once and then beat them by 1. I don't know.
This is a toss-up.
This feels like a team that could be in the lowest end of B or the higher end of C. And I don't know. I think maybe their 2-5 record suggests let's put them down there to punish them for not winning.
Yeah, I think we do that. I say
C
Boston
tier.
C.
I
say
drop
Boston
them to
C.
Yeah, I think so too.
All right.
Let's talk about it.
Let's do it.
Let's talk about it. I'll say this. I was wrong. I made a mistake. Okay, I underestimated them. The Aviators looked good yesterday. Just gonna say it. They looked
You're a
good.
hater.
I'm a hater. I'm a non-believer.
You did say that they wouldn't play Shapiro more, and so they would lose. But Shapiro played a big part in that game.
He did. He put up some numbers. His plus minus was high. He had 4 goals, 1 assist. According to the announcers, he was all over the place with sure hands until he doinked a goal at the end of the game.
They didn't count that as a drop, so we don't talk about that.
Yeah. What doink? What are you talking
I don't know
about?
what you're talking about.
Didn't
That was a
happen.
D. That was a block.
He had more goals than Leandro Marks.
I'm gonna reach out to AUDL stats. Add a drop to Shapiro. That was a drop.
He had a better completion percentage than Marks. He had 2 hockey assists to 0 from Leandro Marks.
Okay, yeah. But Marks looked great yesterday. Let's be fair to Marks. Not AUDL Rookie of the Year favorite, but he had a good game.
I think if Marks was an AUDL favorite going in, and Everest was maybe someone people weren't really talking about, I think now you have to include him in the conversation. And he showed out. He went head to head against I'm sure there's other really good rookie players too that maybe we have our blinders on for, but Everest went head to head against Marks and had a great game. And just to the average person who's keyed into the AUDL Rookie of the Year race this year, which is there's dozens of us. I think Everest really made a case for himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Shapiro looked fantastic out there, both on offense and on defense. And I mean, Marks had a great game. Marks had 8 assists, only 1 goal. But I don't know, Shapiro was only out there for 24 points, and he ended up with 347 yards, no turnovers. I think he looked fantastic, and he knew it was a big game. He knew the national spotlight was on that game for the Rookie of the Year race, and I think he did about as much as he possibly could have with where they played him and what they expected out of him.
Yeah, and with all that being said, I think we bumped Aviators up to B tier.
Yeah, they do still have that game later today, but I think as long as they don't get totally spanked in it, like even a
Yeah.
competitive loss, I think you can still make a case for B. So
Yeah, looking at their schedule, I think they've definitely started to heat up. I mean, their only losses so far to the Shred, who we have in the S tier, and the Growlers, who are in the A tier, and to be 2 tiers behind both those teams while having wins against a B tier and a C tier. That to me, that doesn't make sense to be in the C tier. So
yeah.
I would put them in the B tier confidently.
All right, I'll throw them ahead of the Nitro since they beat them.
Yeah.
Nice.
And yeah, did we talk about Montreal? They're a comfortable B, but they're like pretty good. They could be
on the rise.
If they have a good higher.
Yeah, if they have like a good win, they just need to. The thing about B tier teams that they need to beat like an A or an A tier team. It's hard to move you up until you do that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right, and then so I guess we're still in C. We were talking about moving the Rush up last week, but then they scored 8 points.
Oh boy, was that
do we move them down?
No, I don't move them down to the solely F tier team. If you're in the F tier team, you know why you're in the F tier team. Like, is there any wins in that tier?
No.
Okay.
I don't think you can punish a team to F tier for losing to the Empire.
Yeah, I agree.
But it was so bad.
I know it was so bad.
8 points.
Man, that's ugly. Yeah. Man, and Rush was a team we were kind of high on in the last spot. We were like Rush A, like
no, but
no.
Now they're 1-5.
That's tough.
And then
I'll be honest. Looking at this tier list, I'm pretty happy with it. Any other points that y'all want to make about it?
The only thing I wanted to lastly bring up is Seattle. Since they play later today, does a win do anything for you? Does a loss do anything?
I think a loss definitely doesn't do anything for me. I don't think they're F tier. But a win is interesting.
We can sit on this right now, and then after the result, just pop in and give a little
nudge, because maybe we just
if need be,
like up some or whatever.
Yeah,
I would put them over Ottawa for sure.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about Ottawa actually, but we can do that after we finish talking about Seattle.
I don't think there's much more to say on Seattle. It's just waiting on their result, but I don't think they move tiers. They might just slide positions.
Yeah. But I can't really figure out what Ottawa's about. I don't really understand it. I mean, they beat Boston, and then they lost to Toronto in a close game. They lost to Phoenix in a close game. They lost to the Royal in a close game. They got smacked by the Empire. Like, I don't think they're good, but I also feel like I can't move them as the F tier because those teams are just atrocious. But I don't know. I don't think Ottawa's very good. I think the Alley Cats are better. I think the Glory, despite losing to the Outlaws in their first game, are better. I think the Cascades are better. I probably think the Rush are better. The Thunderbirds, I don't know. I don't think either of those teams are very good, but I don't know. You can't really move them into Dookie. They annoy me with how little I understand how good they are.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're just like classic, just good enough to not be the worst kind of level teams.
Well, on that note, I'm liking the way this tier list looks. I think we did some necessary, cleaning house a little bit in some of the tiers, the A specifically. The one kind of blip on this radar is the Growlers. Y'all need to play some games because we need to actually every other team on this tier list, we know who they are essentially, except for you. So Growlers, play some games, please.
Yeah. Well, it's not their fault. We started doing this week 5 after all their games. So
yeah, fair.
But it is kind of their fault. So fuck them.
Yeah.
Just looking ahead a little bit at the schedule for next week. There's some very good games, and the Growlers do play.
Nice.
Who do they
There we
play?
go.
They play the Nitro.
Uh-oh. Oops.
Oh God.
Oh.
No.
Oh my eyes. Oh. Did you guys see Evan Lepler's tweet? He was like, he took to Twitter because he was like, my Wordle streak disappeared. Does anyone know like what happened to it? He was like, it was supposed to be 69 today.
He Leplered himself.
He Leplered himself. I thought that was so funny. I feel like he's at 68, and I like in my head canon, he's just like so stoked to take that screenshot of his 69th Wordle, and he wakes up in the morning and it's not there, and he's like, "What?"
Yeah.
And then he tweets about it. Like, who is this guy? It's the voice of Ultimate, like tweeting about his Wordle streak. Oh, it's amazing.
We're gonna have
Love that guy.
a tough time picking a game to watch next week. I mean, we got the Shred Summit rematch in Salt Lake. Oh, that's gonna be such a good game.
I know, but we also got Breeze Empire and Rascals Union too.
Ooh.
If the Empire is in their own tier, I don't think they can have a game to watch yet.
I think
Unless
Empire
it's
has
like an
to be
S tier.
because that's the only way the Empire will ever be a game of the week, is like maybe they'll have a game against the Breeze.
Yeah. God, there's some good games. Rematch for the Hustle Cannons. Can the Cannons finally eclipse the Hustle? That'd be crazy.
Also,
you got a couple
Portland and
blowouts.
the Aviators play again.
Oh my God,
Oh,
that's
wow.
gonna be a good game.
Yeah.
And then the Mechanics Alley Cats rivalry. Will the Mechanics finally stick it to the Alley
Big
Cats?
game.
Oh man. You know what? We got a lot to talk about. Let's save it for the preview
Sounds
episode.
good. Yeah,
I'm
let's
liking this
close it out.
morning recording.
Yeah, this is pretty sick.
So this has been our tier talk. So we now have a tier list that is 100% accurate. We expect only positive feedback on Twitter. And yeah, anyone else got anything to say?
I'm open, coach.
Oh, he's open.
So
I'm open,
open.
coach. My eyes are open.
All right. Until next time. See you guys later.
Bye bye.